want to talk about which guitar to use. A lot of people use guitars that you can't really do the Miyavi slaps on, so let me show you the ones you can. This is called the dreadnought shape. It's an acoustic guitar body. This is the best kind to use for the Miyavi slaps because when you're doing some of this stuff, you can use all this stuff as percussive sounds like. So if you didn't have, for example, these things here, you wouldn't be able to make those sounds. So this shape is great for Miyavi slapping. Now, sometimes you see Miyavi use a guitar like this. It's called an ovation guitar. Now you can do some of the stuff, but it's limited because you can't slap the sides anymore because they don't make a loud sound. It's really quiet. So now you're only limited to this. It still works because you can do some of the stuff like. But obviously not as much as I used to before because you can't basically use anything on the sides and on the back to make a percussive sound. But these guitars still work well. They're called an ovation guitar. So if you have them, you can still use them to learn. Now the guitar you can't use to learn is an electric guitar. I've seen some people try to do the Miyavi slaps on an electric. And the reason why it doesn't work is because, well, electric guitars are solid bodies. And when you're basically hitting the wood itself, it makes a very quiet sound, so pretty much all his like percussive sound would not be heard if you're playing it on electric guitars. You can only do the slapping and that's it. So don't use electric guitars. And also I don't encourage classical guitars because classical guitars have a really high action. The higher the action, the harder to play the Miyavi stuff. Okay, so now I'm gonna teach you guys how to properly slap. So what you do is you take your hand and you slap that bitch. That bitch. Okay, I'm done wasting your time. Now back to the video. Okay, so now I'll teach you how to properly slap the guitar. So the first thing you want to do is take your arm and place this part on this part of the body of the guitar. And what this does is it stops you from swinging your arms everywhere. Because when you slap, it's going to be a lot harder if your hand is moving. It should rest on the guitar's body, kind of like this. Now when most people slap, they slap like a bass guitar, and that's a lot tougher. So that looks like this. Your finger is just across, just like the strings, this way. But this makes it a lot tougher because sometimes you'll just miss the strings and make sounds you don't want to. So what I do is instead of slapping like this, I move my hand this way. And what this does is it allows me to slap without missing as much. Because what happens is before we only had this much space to slap, and if you hit outside you miss the string. And if you're slapping like this, you have this much space to hit the string. So you can hit the string a lot more easily without missing as much when you're slapping like this. So the key to slapping is first using your thumb. The thumb is facing downwards. And then what the rest of my fingers are doing, I kind of like put them together and form this like claw shape, but you don't have to, it's just advised. And then you don't use your arm is resting on the guitar's body. You're just using your wrist, this part of your muscles, and you're moving them quickly. And the second you hit the string, what you do is you let go of the moving force of your hand. So it sounds like this. And you should just practice simply hitting the lowest string. Always try using the lowest string for practice. And just slap many times to kind of get used to the feel. So now popping is actually a lot easier. All you have to do is take this finger, put it under a string, literally under. So let's say the A string. What I'll do is I'll go under and just take it out. And what it does, it makes a much louder sound. For example, this is a regular A, and this is when I'm popping it. It makes much more an energetic sound, which is good for funk music and good for like energy. So next I'll show you how to use this slapping in an exercise that's not too tough. if you like my videos, then also check out some more of my videos on my YouTube channel. You can also check out my music on my MySpace and my band's music on MySpace. So just check the link and it's gonna be on the sidebar.